So, folks, one of the things that we've been talking about an awful lot recently is the economy. And specifically, we've been talking a lot about AI and the AI bubble, and like economically, that whenever that bubble bursts, we're going to be in a really bad place. And that's all true. Whenever the AI bubble bursts, we're all going to be in a significantly worse place from wherever we were prior to that bubble popping. But also, where are we right now economically, even with the bubble? How are we doing? Just a little check-in. I thought, one of the things we've also been dealing with has been the tariffs, and the fact that the Trump administration has basically destroyed the ability to put out accurate information about jobs numbers and such. And well, let's just take a look at this CNBC segment that went up earlier today.
Real quickly, what we're looking for in the import prices is this notion that if import prices are falling or negative, they're offsetting the tariffs. We don't see that, and we haven't seen that. So it looks like when you take out fuel, import prices are up just a little bit. So it does not appear as if importers are getting discounts from the exporters or the companies overseas that are selling us the goods. So therefore, it seems like, again, this is a domestic issue. This data would suggest that this is U.S. companies, U.S. consumers paying these tariffs unless they were offset, but we're not seeing that offset. I think that's an issue. Becky, I continue to be among those who are more concerned about the impact of tariffs on the economy. I know that the numbers, when it comes to the inflation data, have been relatively muted. We haven't had a lot of it. It is elevated, but not as elevated as people expected. But I think the effect on business is what we're seeing here, and I think that's part of what's been dragging down the economy. Now, maybe we get used to it and we get to this great place down the road where we have indeed brought in manufacturing from overseas. But there's this transition period if that's going to happen. And in that transition period, there's a negative time. And this seems to be that to me. Rick is right. ADP is not 100%. It may not even be 50%. But I don't think we have a booming job market with ADP numbers like this and as downbeat as they've been. And what you're seeing is a pretty strong, confident bid right now on the Fed cutting rates, but not much more down the pike. It looks like 3% is where the market, even with a potentially very dovish Fed chair coming in, is where the market's settled out, down 3%.
So, number one, we don't have a good job market. Okay. Number two, no shit. The prices, the price increases as a result of the tariffs are being borne by consumers, by everyday people. And like we are in a really bad spot when like all that money that Donald Trump is touting that we've made from all of these glorious, wonderful tariffs, that money is being made from you guys. It's being paid by you guys. It is a tax on the American people, a unilateral one imposed by Donald Trump on everyone. It is quite literally, in this case, his fault. Usually you cannot just directly point at like one guy putting a directive down and like that it being his fault it's in this case it is his fault. And the other part of this is that's how tariffs work. That's how tariffs have always worked. Like, this guy is even like kind of downplaying it a little bit because he's saying, well, maybe we'll get to some place where it's going to be good. We're not. We're not going to get to a place where magically these tariffs rebuild industry in the United States and we're just going through some growing pains. No one is moving manufacturing back here. Plain and simple. Like, the costs being borne by us are for no gains whatsoever, aside from being able to give massive tax breaks to the wealthiest people in this country who do not need more money, let alone more of your money. And it's very, very frustrating to, we're like a year into this now, and to still see people being like, well, maybe this will lead to something. In order for it to lead to something, you need to be doing something on top of just having a tariff. Like, the tariff needs to be targeted towards a specific industry, and then you need to subsidize the building of infrastructure to then have manufacturing come back. Like, it needs to be part of a coordinated effort. Otherwise, you're just doing a tax. That's it. And right now, it is just a tax. And this is going to negatively hurt, like, all of us, because when you give money to the ultra wealthy, chat, they don't spend that money. This might seem kind of odd, but what they do with it is generally they put it into long-term assets. You know, sometimes they'll put it into, like, you know, new startups and new businesses, but that is a very small fraction of what happens. Usually it goes straight into real estate. Usually it goes straight into some kind of long-term asset that they know is going to appreciate in value, i.e. rise in value. That's what they usually do with it. And when that happens, it's part of what raises prices for all of those things, all, like, for example, land. It's part of what raises land prices, property values, etc. But also, it doesn't circulate in the local economy or the national economy because it just sits. It's not doing anything. As opposed to, for example, when we did COVID stimulus checks for working class folks, that money went directly to people and then circulated in the local community. People were spending it. People were then getting paid and continuing to spend it. It juiced the economy in a very real way, right? What winds up happening is that you essentially create a class of actual honest-to-God dragons. But I think we actually have some even worse economic indicators, and I really want to talk about it because we're seeing a ramp up of the commodification of people. And what I mean by the commodification of people here is, you know, dating apps, they commodify your loneliness. They commodify your desire for a partner, or like a one-night stand in some cases. Like, they commodify and profit off of your ongoing loneliness. And that's an example of how you as a person are commodified. And we are seeing that specific thing ramp up, right? And I think one of the awful parts of this is that, we're going into, at the very least, a recession. A lot of the states within the United States are currently in recession time economics. And that only seems like it's going to get worse as time goes on in the near future, at the very least. Especially with, like, Affordable Care Act subsidies expiring at the end of the year, especially with a number of other things baked into the big beautiful bill that are going to go into effect. You know, this bill is going to, like, destroy not just, like, individual family, like, the ability of individual families to, like, afford healthcare, but it's also going to, like, wipe out, for example, like, the hemp industry to a large degree, because the big beautiful bill had language in it that basically removes the loophole that legalized weed in a lot of different areas of the country. And that is going to lead to the annihilation of basically billions of dollars of industry for no reason. And that's just one tiny example. Just one tiny example of how things are going to get harder. And I think maybe the best indicator that I have seen that things are going to be real bad, real bad, is the proliferation of gambling into all manner of American life.
Live from the Polymarket studio in LA.
And what I mean by this is CNN announced today that they are partnering with a company called Kalshi. Now, Kalshi is a company that is much like Polymarket, a global betting or gambling company. And the goal of this CNN Kalshi team up is so that people can gamble on CNN news stories. So that at every opportunity, when you open up a page from CNN to read about or learn about an issue, you have the option to gamble on different outcomes within politics or world events. And like, this is going to be, I mean, how to put this? People during an economic depression, there are very few industries that do super, super well during a depression. One of them is dangling the allure of an easy windfall, of easy money in front of folks. And that's what gambling is. Like, it is constantly dangling the possibility of a better future in front of you. And there are very few things that seem exactly like a sure thing when it comes to gambling, like betting on the news. And this is gonna be I mean, to me, this is like, oh shit, this is putting gambling in front of every single person who reads the news. Every single person. This is going to lead, and Velvet is correct over in the site chat. It's also extremely ripe for market manipulation. If you were a politician and you wanted to make a quick buck, there is nothing preventing you from that. There's no regulation on this gambling. There is nothing preventing you, as far as I am aware, of like rigging this particular kind of market. This is bad. And just to give you an idea of how bad this could possibly be, here is a clip More Perfect Union found of one of the co-founders of Kalshi talking about their vision as a company.
Mark, you've mentioned multiple times that you think prediction markets will be bigger than the stock market. What is it going to take to become $1 trillion asset class?
It's pretty much already like a close to $100 billion a year asset class, right? Like, it's pretty easy to imagine a 10x from here. Like, we haven't even started. It's been a year. I think a very large number of people care, much larger than traditional markets. And I think retail as a pie has just been growing in the US, and I think it's going to keep growing. It's growing in the stock market, but it's growing outside of the stock market. The long-term vision is to financialize everything and create a tradable asset out of any difference in opinion. And I think if you do build a general purpose exchange that can resolve differences of opinions on anything, like, the TAM is quite massive, quite a bit bigger than the current TAM of the stock market. I think putting...
I'm sorry. What he just said there was he wants to commodify any difference of opinion. Any difference of opinion he wants to make a percentage on. That's crazy. Like, this is like, when I see this, I see like this is the apotheosis. This is like, truly, I don't know how you can get much further into commodification than this. Like, this like latest stage capitalism where you are just straight up saying, yeah, I want to profit off of people having different opinions from one another. That's crazy. Like, this system is unsustainable. And the issue is, when you leave this system to its own devices, it will, every time, wind up right here. Right here. And Latzia, you say, give it 20 years, we'll be serfs again. Unironically, that's what Balaji Srinivasan's network state aims to do. That they already have. Like, their far-right fascist, techno-fascist philosophers talking about how, well, techno-feudalists like Peter Thiel have the divine right to rule over the sheep, the stupid, ineffectual sheep like you and I. That's literally, they're already openly writing about that. You can go and read what they've written. It's publicly available. And they have the ears of the most powerful, wealthiest people on the planet. And those people are listening to them. You know? And like, that, you get, like, this guy talking about profiting off of differences of opinion. Yeah, he 100% doesn't give a single shit about, like, human beings. about people. Like, this system has so ostracized him from other people who exist and live and breathe and think and feel that he sits down and he thinks, oh yeah, no, let's become $1 trillion company by allowing people to bet on differences of opinion. Like, this is a terrible indicator of where our economy is right now, because there's not really anywhere else to expand. There's not really, like, what else do you commodify of the humanity once you've gotten to the point where you're trying to commodify just differences of opinion? How long until they commodify in its totality, like loving your wife? Man, this system needs to be we need to have the vision and the will to think of a better world beyond whatever the fuck this is. Beyond this, like, late stage, end stage capitalism. Isn't that basically a Black Mirror episode? That's the thing about Black Mirror. We're already living in it.
Besides sort of the retail trading and the institutional trading product, like there's sort of this separate product, which is like, we are living in a world where like we have an abundance of information, but there's a lot of noise, and like we don't really understand what's real from what's not. And prediction markets are an antidote to that. They do a very, very good job at this.
No, they're not. Like he's talking about, there's a product, and it's the uncertainty of which opinion is correct. Understand what he's also proposing here, which is that you can reconcile what is true from what is not true with a financial market, which is just not how that truth doesn't work that way.
Stealing information and surfacing truth to people, and you're seeing this sort of massive shift where like people are using them whenever they think about questions about the future, you know, whenever.
No, they're not using them to determine questions about the future. They're using them to gamble.
Where they're debating about anything. And I think that trajectory is going to keep going. That's a new consumer habit that I don't think is going to be undone.
God, evil shit. Just heinous individuals.
Live from the Polymarket studio in LA.
And I just want to, like, I know it's a small thing compared to what we just saw, but understand, when we look at Polymarket,
Live from the Polymarket studio in LA.
And when we look at different things like award shows, you know, things that seem minor in comparison to what was just pitched to us by that co-founder. Here's Jeff Grubb over on Blue Sky. Hi, there has been $38 million worth of activity on the Game of the Year results on gambling platform Polymarket. $38 million. And when I see this, like, and we talk about how markets are vulnerable to manipulation. This is just a small example, right? Genuinely just a small example. You see, oh, wow, only 2% of people think that Hollow Knight Silksong will win Game of the Year 2025. What is to prevent people who, like, run the Game Awards from fixing the results and placing a large bet on Hollow Knight Silksong and giving the award to Hollow Knight Silksong, making easy money? What prevents that? There is nothing that prevents this kind of manipulation. There's no regulation. There's none whatsoever. Recognition of art is going to be impacted, but so are the Federal Reserve's interest rates, the Trump's policies. You know, like, if someone, God forbid, intellectually and morally dishonest got into office in the White House and wanted to make easy money, they could just go on Polymarket or go on Kalshi and look at different bets being placed on the likelihood of different policies, and then place their own bets on the long shots and reap incalculable amounts of money from people betting. There's nothing to prevent this. There's nothing to prevent this kind of corruption. And if you think that the guy who currently occupies the White House is above, I don't know, doing corruption or pardoning people who are corrupt, he literally just pardoned Henry Cuellar, who was about to start his trial for, corruption. So, like, this is, it's just a bad precedent for basically every aspect of our society. But not just that, it is an indicator that we are about to go into, like, a really steep economic downturn. Because they want to put this gambling technology in front of you everywhere so that they can profit off of you everywhere. Because they think you guys, working class folks, are going to be vulnerable to the lure of gambling everywhere. It's pretty grim. Not gonna lie. It's pretty grim. And, like, people already are desperate, but now imagine how desperate they're gonna get if the AI bubble implodes, or if the Affordable Care Act subsidies fail to be renewed. Like, they're essentially trying to turn you into little value farms that they can mine for, their mansions and their speedboats. It's really sickening and disgusting. And I know that I understand there's an impulse to be like, we're cooked. But that's the secret, folks. We're never cooked. They just want us to think that we are, so that we don't actually do anything about it, because we can still fight this shit. That's why they're so invested in getting us to feel powerless. It's because when we get together and we fight for unions, when we fight for workers, when we fight for one another, when we join our local Dems, join our local DSA, radicalizing our local Dems, getting our local DSA to get their rears in gear and actually do shit, guess what? We win. We win. And the goal of where we're at right now is to build power. To build power.
Hate ads.
Dragonfly. Same. The goal right now is to build power. It is to get out there, get some better candidates out for 2026, and build up the machinery we need on the local and the state level so that we can run effective candidates in 2028. That's the goal right now. The goal right now is for us to build power. We are in the building phase of power and movement building. So, folks, be a volunteer on a campaign. Be getting out there in your local politically active community. And if you are also someone who already knows the local political apparatuses at the moment, consider running for office. Consider going out there and being the candidate. And if you feel like you are that person, consider reaching out to runforsomething.net. Because I believe that's the handle. It's either .net or .org, and I don't know which at the moment off the top of my head. But either way, if you guys want to get involved, I highly encourage you to join our Discord. We have a area of the Discord for folks who want to radicalize their Dems to talk, and we have a part of the Discord for folks who want to make their DSA more effective to talk. And you can reach out to Dragonfly for help joining your local Dems, and you can reach out to Gamergy for help joining your local DSA. And she can even help you form a new branch of the DSA as well, if there's none locally to where you live, okay? And we need as many folks as we can get at every moment, all the time. So if you feel like you can be a part of this, join, for the love of God, please. It is .net. Thank you, Hazel Basil. Use me while you got me. I'm going to get pretty busy next year. Dragonfly got shit to do, folks. So join your local Dems while you can. She's genuinely a phenomenal resource for us to have. Because the name of the game here, folks, is organizing. So, all that being said, let's get to work. Because these people who want to exploit us they're not going to rest until they've locked up all the law and all the money away from you and me. All right? So we got to organize and we got to fight back and we got to actually win. Okay? That being said, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, drop those subs, donos, memberships, super chats, etc. because you guys make this stream possible. And also consider checking out ImogeneOlivia.com. Imogene Olivia, designed from the ground up with trans femmes in mind. It's the world's first gender euphoric lingerie. And it's for anyone who really wants to feel femme and feminine. And we've tried it out with, we've tested it out with cis men, cis women, trans women, and everyone in between who wants to feel femme. And it has, everyone who's tried it has loved it. We have new styles, colors, and cuts coming in the near future. So stay tuned, but check it out, ImogeneOlivia.com. And with that, let's keep on going.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the scenes. Politics, gaming, and plenty more. Her sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord.